Hey folks, this is a honey harvest type of weekend. It is July the 10th, 2021 today. Yesterday was a little bit miserable, but we got a lot of the supers off the hives to harvest the honey. We have about 15 more hives to do for today. So I'm about to open this hive, and there's a few ways to do it. First, you want to give them a little bit of smoke in the front entrance, and that just calms them down a bit. It gives them something else to think about other than the fact that someone's coming in to take their honey. When you take their lid off, it's going to be a lot of bees inside. I just put this other box on the other day, so it should be, oh good, it's pretty much empty. They don't need this box, which is great. So lots of bees. Give them a bit of smoke. Now one way I really like getting the bees down when they're in one of the top super boxes is something called a fume board. So this piece of cotton is sprayed with a bit of Honeybee gone. And what it does is you just lay it over top for a couple of minutes. They're all fanning and going a little nuts in there right now. And they don't like the smell of it, so they go down deeper. And then when they go down deeper, it gives the beekeeper a chance to grab the frames without too many bees on it. They're already heading down. This is beautiful white comb on this super. When you're harvesting a frame, you want to make sure that at least 80% of it is capped, so that way you know that it's ready for harvest. Another way to get the bees off the frame is by gently brushing them with a bee brush. Once you have the frame, if I'm going to harvest this frame, I'll have to test this one for moisture just to make sure that it's okay. They think it's going to be. You have to quickly put it into a spare box and cover it, or it'll get robbed out by the other honeybees and by yellow jackets. So the cloak cord comes off, and it's pretty much void of bees. Sometimes the bees get really ambitious if you leave a little bit too much space for them. Each of these super frames is supposed to weigh about 3 pounds each. I'm pretty sure there's no way that this is 3 pounds. This is a massive, incredible frame. So when you're getting your honey from your local beekeeper, we're going to show you the process of what happens, but this is how your raw honey comes out of the hive. On top, there's a thin layer of wax that has to be removed, which brings out all the honey from inside. But this is your raw honey right here. A lot of people like to eat the honeycomb. I love to eat the honeycomb. Just gently get those extra bees off. They'll fall back in their hive. But you gotta be fast. This is an amazing piece of frame. See, they're faster than me. I think that probably weighs like 11 pounds. I don't know. It's heavy. They use pine sap and make it into a material called propolis to stick all of everything together. So all the brown stuff at the end is called propolis. People use it for medicinal values and many other uses. I will be having some propolis tinctures available shortly. If you're interested, let me know. The bees' brood box, where their home is, where the queen lays all of her eggs. And that's the very bottom big box right here. So the queen is in there and she'll lay up to 2,000 eggs a day. It's where all their eggs, their brood, their larvae, their pollen, their bee bread for their babies and themselves, all their honey stores that they store for the winter, they all do it in this box. If a beekeeper didn't keep adding what we call supers for the extra honey, the bees would swarm. They must keep building in order to be happy, so the beekeeper has to keep adding boxes for them. And it's these extra boxes that the beekeepers are allowed to take to harvest. We never touch the honey that's in their brood box. That is theirs. As you can see, as more and more frames get taken out, you have less space for the bees, and they flock to whatever remaining frames there are. Once I'm done the harvest, they get their frames back so that they can refill them. I think out of the entire honey harvesting process, this is the most challenging. They've propolised the frame to the bottom. So it's another great frame. Can't see me. So a couple of good shakes. Oops, and that frame fell apart. That's alright. And they're off. I was lucky there. Well, that was a big job. Finally have all of the supers off of the hive. Did half of them yesterday, the other half for today. I brought them into the honey house, mostly free of bees, so that I can extract them. The next step is getting all the boxes into the honey house. And then once that happens, you have to uncap the frames. What I have here, that's good, is a beautiful frame of honey. It seems criminal to uncap this because it is so perfectly beautiful. But in order to get the honey out, you have to take off this white capping. I have a machine for this, and what you do is you push your frame through it, and it goes, out it comes, and it's uncapped, just like that. See, it's using a bread knife or a hot knife or a fork. Sometimes you want to do it twice on an angle just to make sure that you got all the cells. This keeps it as nice as possible as well for the bees. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in my extractor. The extra cappings fall through into my uncapping bucket. The honey will drip out into the bucket below, and that also gets strained, and all of the cappings go back out for the bees to clean up, and then it turns into candles and other great products. After the uncapping tank, I put 12 frames into my extractor, I turn it on and it spins the honey out. Collects at the bottom and it comes out this spout into my strainer. Gets all the little bits of wax out of it. All the hives have been extracted with all the extra supers. Now it's time to put the empty frames back on the hives. One little trick that I do is I write in marker on the lid how many frames or how many supers I took from it, which makes it so easy when I come back at the end of the day and I have to reload them. So this hive here is 2 supers plus 5 frames. It's a little late and they've been a little testy today because I took their honey. So this doesn't go very well, but it's a job that I need to do tonight. So I can smell their banana pheromone, which is signaling all of the other ones to say, hey, we have an intruder, we need to attack her. Not great for the beekeeper. They're pelting off my gloves. Luckily it's a nice thick leather. So that's their 5 frames. Now they get 2 supers. After extraction, these boxes are nice and light. Before extraction, I can only lift 1 box or like 1 frame at a time. They're so heavy for me. So I put this on diagonally to avoid crushing the bees. It's 1. You want to make sure they're evenly spaced apart, or else you'll have some really wanky comb when you come back. They're pretty happy though to get these wet frames back. See, she just stung me in the glove. Thankfully, it's nice and thick. That's what I do. Now for the rest of the hives. And sometimes we get some stowaways in the honey house. And free to go. This brings us to one of the last steps of the honey harvest hive to jar process, and that's bottling. I'm lucky to have an automatic machine. I used to use a hand lever, and this is much simpler and much faster. Put your lid on. get your label and one of our beautiful jars ready for sale. And that's the process. From our hives to your table. Thanks for watching.